Hello, hi. We are here today at Raisina Dialogue 2024 edition. My name is Ilke Teuger and I will be moderating this panel. Uh, just to start with a little bit of context, the 24th of February 2022 changed the dynamics in the European continent. Russia's invasion of Ukraine and countries positioning towards it alternated the dynamics in wider Europe. Following Ukraine's application for EU membership right after the start of the war, discussions on the future of the enlargement policy and the neighborhood policy are back on the political agenda of the European Union. The European Council already decided to open accession negotiations with Ukraine and Moldova, granted candidacy status to Georgia. After a very long wait, North Macedonia and Albania started their accession negotiations. Bosnia-Herzegovina got the green light for its candidacy. Kosovo has applied officially for EU membership, and the country was granted visa-free travel. This surely is a historic moment when it comes to wider Europe. The European political community, on the other hand, also opened up a new platform on the continent for enhancing foreign and security policy cooperation. This has been a new investment for wider Europe, taking into consideration all the challenges that go way beyond the borders of the European Union, including the fight against climate change, hybrid threats, and all the other connectivity issues. In the light of these developments, we are here to discuss the state of affairs in the Western Balkans, and we have two very bright representatives of the region here with us. I will just start with Maria Risteska. She is the founder and the executive director of the Center for Research and Policymaking, #1 think tank in North Macedonia, which is implementing programs on democracy and leadership and sustainable development in various countries, including all the countries of the Western Balkans. Ornella Ciuci, hello Ornella, holds a PhD in environmental science and technology. She is specialized in urban waste management. She has been a professor, advisor to the Prime Minister of Albania, and a board member at Global Environmental Facility and the Green Climate Fund. Let's start with you, Maria. What is your take on all this? What are the implications of the Ukraine war and new threats to European security for the integration of Southeast Europe with the rest of the continent?
Well, thank you. I'm very glad to be back at Raisina. I think that the impact of this war is very visible also for the Western Balkans and overall to the European enlargement process. As all of a sudden after the war, also the EU member states became more interested into the topic of enlargement. We know that they were for quite a long time in a phase of fatigue. Which is good for our countries, the Western Balkans. But I must say that this is visible in terms of the interventions of the European institutions, the member states in their statements, also the public opinion of the people in the EU are more looking forward to the enlargement nowadays, but it is still on the level of rhetorics. We don't see much movement in terms of the process itself. This means that we don't see any new chapters being opened in the negotiations of the countries that have opened negotiations, nor closing in the countries that are more advanced in this process, like Serbia and Montenegro, for example. So in this way, I think that also we see another trend happening, and that is that the European member states are withdrawing their financial support to the Western Balkans and directing it towards Ukraine and the Gaza conflict, which is obvious because there is a humanitarian need of support there. But we should not forget that the democratic consolidation and the reconciliation in the Western Balkans is not a finished process. It's not done deal. And this means that although we have maybe not war, the peace in the Western Balkans is not guaranteed, and there should be a continued interest of the European Union in the Western Balkans in not just the enlargement, but also the consolidation of the democratic institutions and the reconciliation to secure the stability and security in the Western Balkans.
Okay. What do you think, Ornella? How does the business world see all this?
I will start from the point that it's good for our region to be hold on for going through the European Union, but I don't know if it is so good for us to be on the waiting list for so long. It is our problem or it is EU problem? This is the question. So in this perspective, we are the problem of the business. Yeah, they are challenges, but they are also opportunities. And the opportunities, they are new trades. So Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, and the all Western Balkans, they are new trades. But in this frame, we are not consolidate democratic process countries. And so in this frame, we have big challenges, problems also in the frame of corruption, regional tensions, and also political instability. In some countries, we are seeing that we have, it's the increase of the autocracies systems. And in some other countries, we are seeing the regional tensions. And so it's this kind of nationalism going all over the small countries now, that they are, let's say, the parties, they are directly from this populism, nationalism processes, and they are going through these small incidents, but they are not small anymore, like Serbia and Kosovo. So we are seeing that, yes, it's a big opportunity for the countries to be part of the Europe, not only for the trade and not only for the business and not only for being part of the Europe, but also being protected as we saw in Ukraine, being part of the European Union. It's very important. And we are in the waiting list for so long. I think the European Union should think more about these countries and should think not only about the countries, but for the continent. We are Europe. We are just not still European Union.
That's very well said. The second question goes actually to the heart of a bit the economic integration in the region and possible access to the EU single market, because while the Western Balkan countries are waiting for European integration, possible single market access is always given as a good deal in the meantime. And we have seen the last year European Commission's Western Balkans growth plan, and I just want to ask you both: did this plan have the potential to encourage economic cooperation in the region? Are these steps serving the aim of creating collaboration among the countries of the Western Balkans economically and continuing their path of European integration? Because as you have said, there are various tensions, and looking from a European Union's perspective, the way to deal with these tensions could be also furthering economic integration. Maybe we can start with you, Ornella.
So the European growth package, it's very good news for our countries. Even it's going hand by hand with the Green Deal, with the European Green Deal for the Western Balkans. And I used to be for 5 years the head of the Chapter 27, which is the chapter for environment and climate issues in my country. And so environment has no borders, has no languages, has no nationalities. So we have to work all together in Balkans. We are sharing the 1/3 of the flora and fauna of Europe. So if we are not going all together to protect our nature, it will be no protection of our nature. So in this case, it's this kind of nationalism. They are not helping us for protecting our nature. And yes, there are big, let's say, opportunities in Europe for all this. But what is the reality? It's EU budgets for 21-27 for the citizens of the European citizens, for the European member citizens. It's 4,500 euros. Do you know how much it's for Western Balkan countries? 140. So this is the reality. Yes, it's a big opportunity. It's a great vision, but without budgets. And saying this, I don't know how much this can help the countries which we have our own problems. So this 140 euros, they are not accessible for all the countries because we don't have the capacities, the human capacities to access all this. We don't have the main expertise for applying for projects, for accelerating these funds. And in the meantime, we don't have the main, administration capacities for managing these funds. And so now in Albania, we have only 15% the acceleration of IPA funds in this moment. And from this acceleration, we are only managing almost 20% of them. So maybe we have to see another way how to help and how to implement this vision. We don't need anymore to buy German expertise for Western Balkan realities. We need to increase our own capacities to accelerate and to manage and to create our own expertise for our own problems.
So what I understand from your comments is that one of the important things that the European Union could do moving forward it would be investing more in capacity building, local capacity building.
Of course. Local capacity building, local communities and SMEs. This is very important. 80% of our budgets, they are based on the SMEs. So if we are not helping them, we are not helping ourselves.
Okay. What do you think, Maria?
Well, I agree with this vision of the European Union that first we need a regional integration in order to become part of the larger union. We know in the region that there is an institution called the Regional Cooperation Council working on this matter, meaning setting up, creating a regional economic area, first of all. Which will improve the movement of people and goods and enhance the regional cooperation. But I must say that the success of that really depends on the willingness of the countries to cooperate. And we should not undermine that we have still political issues unresolved, like the situation on the status of Kosovo. So this regional cooperation might not be the very effective way of enhancing the accession to the European economic space. I would say that much more effective way to do it and recommend it to the EU is to actually let the Western Balkans be part of the European Monetary Union and the European Economic Area, which would strengthen also regional cooperation without having the political, burdens of unresolved issues between the countries, and will make the Western Balkan countries feel like they are part of the Union, which can be beneficial for both sides. Why? Because at the moment we have a union which is still weighing the balance between the internal reforms and enlargement, and is not ready to support the later before the prior is done. So we need an extra push for the Western Balkans to feel that they belong to the European economic project, and without actually jeopardizing the political decision on becoming members of the Union. In terms of the Western Balkans growth plan, I would say that the most powerful is the Western Balkans investment plan, which has 3 billion, I think, euros. Most of them earmarked for SMEs, as Ornella says. These are the needs. But I also second what she's saying, that it's the question of the capacity of the SMEs to absorb these funds also. So I would put more the emphasis on the way how the measures in this plan will be designed. Why this is important to discuss? Because the measures should respond to the needs of the countries, but also to the needs of the final beneficiaries, being SMEs or people or institutions, their capacities as well. And we to that end, I would recommend the tools that I'm using in the Center for Research and Policy Making, and this is the gender responsive budgeting tools, which are mainly designed to inform policy making and budgeting in order to address the different needs of women and men, but also can be expanded to the different needs of institutions and other beneficiaries in these processes. And with that, in that way, we will also prevent that the EU funding through the Western Balkan Investment Fund will not create inequalities itself. Of course, we as the Gender Budget Watchdog Network, which I'm representing as regional director of 100 CSOs in the region and Moldova, I would say that we will be closely watching the implementation of the Western Balkan Investment Fund, not to create these inequalities.
Okay, that's a very good point. And actually, I wasn't that aware of the inequality dimension of all this discussion, which is extremely important. Just a quick follow-up on that. Do you think the economies of the Western Balkan countries are competitive enough to be included in the European Union's economic system? Do you think this could also be a reason for creating more issues of inequality actually between countries?
I think we are such a small market that has already been of interest of the European companies, and they are already present in the countries of the region. So it will not be an additional competitive burden to the companies in our countries, especially because, as Ornella was saying, their economic activities transcend the borders of the individual countries. They see already the market as a regional market. So if a company enters in Macedonia, they cover from Macedonia, Albania, and Kosovo, and southern Serbia. So it's not an issue whether we should prevent local economies not to become part of the EU, but actually how with the more engagement and accessing the different benefits of, for example, being a part of the Pan-European Union of Origins, of the rules of origin, would help actually the local economies and the local companies more than being left in our own Balkan enclave.
Okay. Of course, I'm going to close up with geopolitics because we are here at Raisina Dialogue. But before that, just very quickly, and then we, as I said, like we close on geopolitics. Ornella, what is the prospect for membership? Are you talking about a date? What are the exact steps for moving forward? What is the perception in the public, if I may ask, about EU membership and moving forward?
Oh, very interesting question. So we are small countries, ex-communist countries. We have big problems, very big problems, starting from the infrastructure, water supply, water management, waste management, everything, but with small budgets. So in this case, yes, even saying this, I want to add also that, yes, some countries, they are probably some affiliation, they are flirting a lot with Russians and Chinese, maybe because of their historical, let's say, feelings also. And coming from the other hand, the European Union, it's showing the stick or the carrot in both ways. So what to do for these countries? They need support, but they need even protection.
Yeah.
And they are saying this. I will add also the populism that it's increasing a lot in our countries. I think our membership on the European Union, it's not depending on us. We have done everything that we have to do for being part of the European Union. It's not depending at all on us. So I will say, for example, that we have done all our homework. North Macedonia has done not only the homework, but even more. They have changed the name, they are changing the constitution. But what will happen with Serbia in these conditions? And what will happen with Kosovo? This is not anymore homework based. This is geopolitical home based. And I think with the war in Ukraine, we will have, European Union should have a big eye now and offering this big carrot to the Western Balkans. Otherwise, we will be the next problem, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair enough. And then this very well leads the way to my final question. How are the countries in the region dealing with increased geopolitical contestation? Because we are in Brussels continuously discussing that the Western Balkans are a chessboard now. The countries are a chessboard with continuous influence, not only from Russia, but also from China. And most of the EU's policies are designed to counter this influence. And following up with your logic, it's like instead of countering, maybe advancing and going ahead of the problems, what should we do, Maria?
Well,
in 1 minute.
well, in Macedonia, for example, we, unlike other countries in the region, even the ones that are members of the European Union, we don't have Russian economic interest, and China is not very popular with the government, so all the projects that were financed by the Chinese have been halted for a while. So in this chessboard language that you are speaking, I think that Macedonia is a very little pawn, a figure which is not very powerful on the chessboard, but strongly and proudly standing in front of the king, the European democratic Western liberal values, and defending it in this respect. So I think that on the question of what is the future of the Balkans, I think it is European if you let us in.
But in North Macedonia, Serbia, and Montenegro, probably they don't have Russian affiliation on the business, but they have Russian affiliation on the parties. And these parties, they are part of the governments now.
Yeah.
So in this case, yes, it will be a very big problem in the next years. And European Union must have a very good focus on the Balkan, seeing what is happening in Africa now. With these investments, with these big investments, let's say, from the Chinese, from the Russians, and everything. And we have a case in Montenegro with this kind of investments. So probably, yes, the European Union should be very focused on the region because we are Europe and we have to be on the European Union ASAP.
I have to disagree that in Macedonia there is no political party that is affiliated nor has a policy or politics related to the Russian state or the politics of Russia in the region. Neither in Montenegro. At the moment we have governments which are pro-European and no political actor which is oriented towards China or Russia. So I wouldn't agree to this perspective.
I was referring the European Commission reports. So sorry.
That's very good. I'm very glad that we are finishing this with a disagreement, so we can come back here again to Raisina Dialogue 2025 and converse about the Western Balkans and their European future. Of course, they are part of the continent, part of Europe, and hopefully Western Balkans are going to be very soon part of the European Union as well. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Ornella. It was a pleasure conversing with you. Thank you.